purpose, the reason for the creation or the existence of a thing. Role, a set of responsibilities God assigns you to for a certain season. Calling, God's invitation for your participation in the reason for your creation. And so he calls you to certain roles in certain seasons. And your willingness to keep saying yes to the roles he calls you to in certain seasons is how you actually comprehensively accomplish your purpose. We need backside management. We got front side prophecies, front side sermons, front side words of knowledge, front side words of encouragement. But we need more teaching and training that anchors us to handle what comes with stepping into all that God has for you. You're gifted, but people's opinions still matter too much. You gifted, but you still have a tendency to have a messianic complex, and you try to save people that don't want to be saved. You're gifted, but you still have yet to get to the place where you are really okay living with a degree and a dimension of isolation. You've got the gift, but you've got to get to the place where you understand that operating in the fullness of it means that you're going to inevitably be misunderstood. And if you're still addicted to offering explanations, you're not ready for this next level of your assignment. And our text tonight exposes us to an individual that's a powerful picture of what I'm attempting to articulate. It's a gentleman named Jonah. Now, we read Jonah chapter 4, but I believe we cannot understand the content in Jonah chapter 4 without a little context. We're introduced, family, to Jonah in Jonah chapter 1 with Jonah receiving instruction from the Father to go to a place called Nineveh. It's the capital of Assyria. And the Bible says, you know the story, Jonah arises, he goes down to Joppa, and he gets on a boat heading to Tarshish. Here's what I want us to see. I think this is important, and it needs to be emphasized here. I want you to see something. Jonah's disobedience was not in the area of ethics. Jonah's disobedience was in the area of his assignment. He's not avoiding the entirety of his assignment because he's not a novice prophet. This isn't his first prophetic assignment. So he's been used in the past. But now he's introduced to an aspect of his assignment that he avoids because it feels unsafe. See, he had legitimate reasons to not want to go. Nineveh, capital of Assyria. The Assyrians had a history of hostility toward Israel. They beat them, they battered them, they bruised them. Some historians suggest that they would decapitate them and put their heads on fences as a sign and a symbol of what they would do to others. And God tells Jonah, I want you to go to them. Y'all aren't talking to me tonight. Yeah. Yeah, this is important. Jonah made assumptions about what his assignment should look like. And like many of us assume Assyria shouldn't be a part of your assignment. Assyria represents a season in your life where God calls you into something that feels unsafe. Are y'all gonna talk back to me tonight? Yeah, it is what feels like a disruption in the linear nature of your calling. As soon as you feel comfortable, as soon as you feel competent, as soon as you're hitting a stride where you feel like you have a degree of mastery over what God has called you to steward, then all of a sudden God interrupts the linear nature of your assignment and says, you need to go to Assyria. You hit your stride in the background. You've mastered the background. You teach others the background. And here comes God saying, go to Assyria, the forefront. It seems unsafe. Am I making sense here? I said, am I making sense here? Yeah, see, this is so important. And I think it's a clarification around a conversation that there's a lot of a lot of people confused about in contemporary Christianity, because it really helps us break down and understand this concept, this idea of like purpose and role and calling, right? Purpose, the reason for the creation or the existence of a thing. Role, a set of responsibilities God assigns you to for a certain season. Calling, God's invitation for your participation in the reason for your creation. And so he calls you to certain roles in certain seasons. And your willingness to keep saying yes to the roles he calls you to in certain seasons is how you actually comprehensively accomplish your purpose.
Do you know that the quality of your life is based on the quality of your decisions? And the quality of your decisions is based on the quality of information that you have. So that means you need reliable sources of information, and the most reliable source of information in the world is the Bible. But you know what? Most people don't understand it. And if you want to understand the Bible, God is enough, but Sunday is not. I want to help you understand. I want to help you interpret and apply. I want to help you explain the Bible better. This is why I'm inviting you to be a part of my tribe called Bible U.
Did you hear what I just said? I said purpose, the reason for the creation or the existence of a thing. Roles, a set of responsibilities God calls you to in a certain season that he expects you to steward properly. Calling, God's invitation for your participation in the reason for your creation. So he calls you to certain roles in certain seasons. And your willingness to keep saying yes to the roles he calls you to is what determines whether or not you accomplish the purpose he has for you. And people have to get this, because whenever you see territorialism in ministry, you see a person who's confused a role with purpose. Are y'all okay? Yeah. When you see people who don't want to let it go, who need to let it go, who should have let it go a long time ago, you've seen an individual now who is using the ministry instead of being used in ministry. They're using the ministry for self-validation. They're using the ministry for a sense of worth. They're using the ministry to deal with father and mother wounds and issues of significance. And so there's territorialism because they assume that their role is their purpose. You are only as useful as your last yes. You cannot live today on yesterday's yes. At some point, there's going to come some disruption, and he's going to call you to something that feels like Assyria. And if safety is your prerequisite for obedience, then you have just limited the degree and the dimensions to which God can use you. Because at some point, you got to go to Assyria. And Assyria feels unsafe. Assyria requires what has become a taboo word in contemporary Christianity. Assyria requires submission. It requires the yielding of your wants and the laying down of your preferences. This is what's interesting. Submission is not the eradication of your wants. You still have them, but it is the submission of those wants. Did you hear what I just said? It isn't saying, I don't want this. It's saying, I want you more. Am I making sense here? Yes, sometimes there are aspects of your assignment that require Assyria.